Are you ready?
Starting now?
Now you just messed it up, you knob. God, you know that the shit that we go through for this, huh?
I know. Fuckers better appreciate it. When we started, we were just like, yeah, we're just going to do this, man. You know, shoot our wad into the wind and see what happens. What's the title of this podcast again?
I don't know. I don't know. Something with a penis, I guess.
Right.
Our fucking faces are everywhere now.
Right.
You know, but
You're welcome, ladies.
Right. Popular with the ladies. Right. Oh, I'm not even going to apologize because hopefully it sounds fucking hilarious.
Yeah, totally. This is fucking explicit now.
The explicit button. Let me use my finger.
La, 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 la.
It is time for another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And that episode starts now. All right, everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And what do we do now? We don't have a fucking guest.
Yeah. Well, I was actually thinking about this earlier. Hi, everybody.
It's just Mike and I. Just Mike and I.
It is. It's just us tonight. But you know what? At least any craziness that comes out of us, I know I can handle. So,
well, you know, it was funny because I was looking back and I was going to put a post together to thank everyone that had been on, and I'm looking back. I'm like, shit. Since the first of the year, I mean, we had Ashley twice, we had Megan, Tony, Melissa, Angel, Shay last week. I'm trying to think. Right. I think that's everyone, you know, but little bits and pieces of us in the middle of that. But yeah, we had a little bit of a long run of people, and then this week and next week it's you and I, and then Matt from Sober Friends, June 2nd, and then I think 2 weeks in a row after that is just us. Oh shit! You know what I wanted to look at? Hang on 1 second.
I don't know.
Today is episode 65, so 66, 67, 68. Episode 69 is on June 16th, and I believe. I think that's just us.
Yeah.
Real quick. Because I was going to say, like, either it's just us or we get to embarrass somebody else that's on. Oh no, Coach. Oh shit, Coach. Coach David. Coach David gets to appear with us in episode 69. Okay, well, he's
on
gonna
the big sucky one.
Sucking from all ends.
That's right.
Or on all ends. Right, in both ends. Well, you know, for a minute there, I'm like, oh, we'll be on our own. That we could just act stupid. But now he gets to enjoy our stupid.
We're still gonna act stupid, right?
All right, yeah. You know, it's funny. I put on my headphones today. It's like my headphones seem to be fitting funny. I'm like, I don't know why. They feel
your head getting bigger.
They actually feel like they're looser. So could my head have shrunk?
Yeah.
You know, maybe I've become more humble over the last few weeks.
I'm not even going to dignify that.
Okay. Well, you sort of did with your half spitting. Did you clean off your mic?
That's why I have this little shield on it.
You got shits dripping. That's called a shit spit shield. Blech.
That's right.
Right. Whatever it is. So, and I know that obviously I think you've got a reading probably coming up, but we haven't, you know, it's the 5th month, so we haven't talked about the step yet, so we can do that.
Yeah.
But one thing I just wanted to bring up right away, and then I got actually a page and a quarter of like little notes and stuff like that. We got plenty to talk about over the next couple of weeks.
We've been building up.
we're going to explode. You might need a bigger shield over there.
I might, right? Lay down a tarp.
Yeah, right. Get him a towel. Okay. So, but no, we were at. So, you know, last weekend, Kylie's graduation, which is really cool.
Right.
And that was just fun. I mean, I went down there we left here at like 6:30 in the morning. It's
Mm-hmm.
that with the time difference, whatever. The ceremony was quicker than I thought, but then she wanted to go around the different places and get pictures.
Uh-huh.
So we did that. But the one I wanted to tell you about was they have this clock tower, and underneath the base of it, it
Mm-hmm.
almost looks like a kind of like a chair would be. It's got four legs on the bottom of it, so you can walk through it.
Okay.
From four different sides. And apparently, there's this superstitious rumor that says
Mm-hmm.
if you walk underneath that clock tower anytime during your time there, you're not going to graduate. So all these kids.
Ah.
Kylie's telling me that. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah. She's like, everyone believes it. I'm like, okay. So that was the first thing. She wanted to walk over there and get pictures because she wanted to go under there, and she threw her hat
Sure.
up and got pictures or whatever. And no shit, there's all these people crowded around here, and then people taking videos where these kids are standing outside, right outside the area of the clock tower and
Mm-hmm.
walking through. It was fucking funny. I mean, but in a
Right.
in a good way. It wasn't like
Mm-hmm.
stupid funny. It was just I was
All
like,
right.
cool. And
Yeah.
then we went over and got it over the little Purdue Arch and stuff like that, and then
Mm-hmm.
just kind of walked around a little bit. But then I went up to obviously drove up to Wisconsin and headed up to Derek's girlfriend Katie's
Mm-hmm.
graduation party, which is cool. Kimmy and Ollie were there, so we're hanging out
Right.
doing all that stuff. So we're sitting there, and I forget if we were like earlier or later when we were in the backyard and they had people were playing bags and doing all this stuff. And then Derek's like, he goes, I listened to all your podcasts. And I'm like, all of them?
What? Really?
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, really? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I've been listening for a while just at work. Because I just
Mm-hmm.
have my headphones in, doing my thing. And he goes, the other day I was listening, and after whatever episode it was, he goes, went back to the first one, and he's like, what the fuck? And he looked, and he's like, huh, I guess I listened to them all. And I'm like, well, that's 64 episodes and even an average of an hour and 15. I'm like, that's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of time. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And he goes, sometimes this is the funniest part. So first thing he said, he goes, sometimes he goes, I'm just sitting there, and he goes, I'm just have my headphones on, minding my own business. He goes, I just start
Mm-hmm.
laughing. He goes, some of the shit that you guys say. And he goes, the funniest part, he goes, when Mike said that you were supposed to drive out to Vegas, and I'm like, oh, that story. And
Mm.
he's like, yeah. He goes, I couldn't stop laughing. He goes, he goes, what was that? You were supposed to come out and punch me in the face and drive your
Right.
car into whatever. And I said,
Right.
yeah. So I explained it. He goes, that was so funny. He goes, I couldn't stop laughing about that. And I said,
Yay.
yeah. Yeah, I'm like, well, that's the thing. I'm like, the thing of it is that I said, yeah, basically, he's just, and then told me to drive my car into an abutment after that. And he's like, yeah.
Yep.
but
Right.
but I said that, and I told him, I'm like, the whole point with that was that, I worked all that time to get to that point, and then if
Mm-hmm.
I said he thought, I started drinking again, so I might as well just, you're one of the most important things in my life, meaning Derek,
Mm-hmm.
and I might have just bought my car, so the
Right.
two of those things go punch you in the face, and he's
Mm-hmm.
laughing as I'm telling him this, and then yeah, drive my car into the thing and kill myself. He's like,
Yep.
oh, it's just so. He goes, that was fucking funny.
Good.
So
Good.
yeah,
Well, so what? 9 years later, he finally got this story, and that's cool.
yeah,
That makes me kind of happy
I know,
in my
yeah.
in my miserable, shitty mood today. So yay.
Well, and I asked him too. I said, so you listen to all of them, right? And he said, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, what about the one when you got to the Keating Center and we had that talk? And he's like, oh yeah. He goes, I remember that. He says bits and pieces. He goes, not all of it. He goes, I didn't realize that you guys couldn't leave. And I said, yeah. I said that
Mm-hmm.
was the whole point. But I'm like, kind of like I said, I've talked a lot about a lot of things. I'm like, your name comes up all the time. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
that's all cool. And he's like, yeah. He goes, it's cool. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
And then I said, well, same thing that I've told other people. I said, I will tell stories that have you in it, or I pointed at Dawn was a little bit away from us. I'm like, I said, she
Mm-hmm.
comes up all the time. And he's like laughing. He's
Sure.
like, yeah, she does. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
but I tell stories that she's involved in, but I don't tell her story because it's not my place.
Right.
And he's like, no, I get it. So it's just cool. So yeah. So Derek, if you're listening, fuck off, man. Get back to work, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. No shit, man.
Yeah.
You
What
getting
the
paid
fuck,
for
man?
this? God damn.
But yeah, what was funny though is that, and I don't really pay too much attention anymore with the demographics in the podcast. I pay attention more with and glance at more of the Instagram stuff, but I don't pay attention to
Sure.
the younger demographics. But every
Mm-hmm.
once in a while, and it was within the last probably month or so, that I looked on Anchor and I saw that, we've got like a 1 or 2% range in that, like 18 to whatever it is, 24 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he must be in that range.
It's
Yeah,
him.
yeah, it's just him.
Right. Exactly.
Well, and I know Katie has listened, and I know Kylie's
Mm-hmm.
listened, and I don't know
Mm-hmm.
about friends of theirs, but yeah, so we might have 3 people, family, but either
Right.
way,
We'll
yeah,
take it.
right, exactly. But so yeah, I wanted to tell you that I made a note of that because I thought it was cool. But yeah, the funniest part was the punching him in the face, and he's
Mm.
like, when he brought that up, he goes, yeah, that story that Mike told. Then he starts, and I'm like, oh yeah, that story, that's a good one.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Yep.
So yeah, but yeah, I wanted to get that part out of the way. But yeah, so let's get back down to business. That's my
Oh.
papers. Can you hear my paper? No, I'm just kidding. But no, I figured that I know you want to do your reading before we get too far off track.
Eh,
Get your reading done. We'll do the. I almost said it again. Get your reading out of the way. What the fuck is wrong with me? Why can't
I
I
don't
just
know, man.
program myself to be, Mike? Let's do your reading.
All right. Yeah, let's do it. Let's see here. Yeah, nothing jumped out at me this week, so I just was flipping through the book on my dog years, and actually, I found one that I liked, but I wasn't sure if I'd read it before, so I skipped it. I'll save it for some other time when it's later, and nobody will remember it anyway.
We probably wouldn't remember it either way.
Right. Exactly. All right. So, let's see here. I'm sitting in the living room and it's a little dark in here, but that's all right. Let's see, because it's like 10 degrees cooler down here than it is up in my bedroom. So I decided to do it down here. All right, the reading. August 24th. The human mind treats a new idea the way the body treats a strange protein. It rejects it. P.B. Mendawar. I had to Google his ass. He's a biologist. All right. Let's see. All of us are guilty of this. A new idea comes along, such as you should get sober, and we reject it. But as active addicts, we would not just reject new ideas, we would reject any idea that got in the way of our using. As our illness progressed, we became closed minded and rigid. The permissive parts of our brain control. I'm sorry. The primitive parts of our brain controlled our lives. Or the permissive ones. Let's see here. Recovery pushes us to be open minded, to put ideas before instincts, to place principles before personalities. We are to stop and think about what will happen if we start using again. We call it thinking through the high or playing through the tape. One of the most beautiful gifts of recovery is that we get our mind back. Whether we choose to use it or not is up to us. Prayer for the day. Higher power, you gave me a wonderful gift, my mind. Help me to use it better. Help me to use it to better my life and the lives of others. Help me not to be rigid and closed-minded. Today's action. Actions, because this is a program of action. Today, I will list the ways I became rigid and closed-minded. Because fear most often creates rigidity, I will ask myself what I may be afraid of.
So the first thing I wrote down was new idea reject because isn't that kind of along the lines of, well, I mean, would that be more kind of along the lines of same or the first thought wrong type of thing? Like if somebody tells us
Mm,
something we rejected, is it kind of the opposite of that? That's what I thought about first, but I don't know if I'm thinking of that the right way. But yeah, I mean, the idea of getting sober or anyone, the change,
right,
right? Like
right.
somebody offering us some change that ultimately will probably better our lives, and our
Mm-hmm.
stupid minds reject it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm fine. I'm just cruising along the way I am. Everything's wonderful. We're fucking miserable, but yeah, we don't want to change. Again, like we used to be told all the time, we get comfortable sitting in our own shit. You
Right.
know? Yeah.
Well, and even the comfortable part of it. I mean, well, you and I dealt with that. Being at the 3/4 house.
Mm-hmm.
Comfortable and lazy. And
Right.
to this point, I mean the whole thing. Well, I was just going to say with my job thing, but it is sort of the reason. I mean, I'm coming up on 3 years there, and I probably should have
Mm-hmm.
left 2 years ago.
Right.
But you know what? Again, circumstances were what they were, and
Mm-hmm.
a year ago or coming up. Well, a year ago, I knew I was coming down
Right.
here.
Right.
So that all these things kind of it was laziness, but it also made sense and
Mm-hmm.
in that sort of thing. But seriously, I mean, I sit there and I bitch and I moan about this stuff, and I casually look, but then again, I've got some other ideas about what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, maybe I'm sort of rejecting the thing and getting lazy and sticking where I'm at, but also my biggest concern is if and or when I need to take another job, it's going to
Right.
be literally a full-time thing. I mean, I have the ability to, I have some flexibility in my day to keep up on, Instagram and some other things and that sort of
Right.
thing. So I still got a lot of fucking work to do when I get it done, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not as though I can't pick up my phone and take 5 minutes or 10 minutes here or there to do that. So
Right.
part of that laziness keeps me where I'm at. Or part of that is laziness and part of it's just I don't know, it is keeps me where I'm at.
Right. Right. Exactly. Well, and it's the rejecting ideas without investigating them. I'm paraphrasing that part in the big book, but yeah, contempt without investigation,
There you go.
all
I was
that
going to
good
say for
stuff.
the life of me,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the
Right.
word.
Right. Exactly. And fine. So then you investigate it. We were talking about we were messaging back and forth this week about a certain practice that some new age type people do. I've investigated it and I found it to be complete bullshit. And so, but I didn't dismiss it out of hand. I looked at it and then I
Right.
went, nah, this is crap, and moved on.
Right.
Just because it's there doesn't mean it makes any sense.
Right.
Yeah.
But then again, with things like that, it's like with that situation, you brought up the whole Linus and the Great Pumpkin thing, which is
Mm-hmm.
great because the that situation we don't have to be involved in that thing. We could be
Right.
involved in something else that goes along with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
And
This
clearly we're involved in something that there are plenty of people that go, well, that's bullshit.
right,
But it works for us.
right,
Yep.
right. And I mean, think about and once again, I mean, I'm obviously clearly active on Instagram, and you're not. And
Mm-hmm.
in that whatever it's been a year and a few months since I've been on there, I mean, there's a lot of people, and we've talked to some of those people that
Mm-hmm.
either got their start in AA or have that background of it, or
Right.
people who have been sober for a long time and never went through AA.
Yeah.
But we don't have anyone coming at us. Nobody said to us yet, and nobody said to me,
Mm.
on Instagram, AA sucks and you're this and you're that. Which again, I've never said that back to anyone. So I just
Right.
thought about that. I've never been criticized for it. But then again, I mean, I don't. Well, you and I, we're not. We quote the big book on here and we talk about the
Yeah.
steps and all those sort of things,
Right.
but we're not those people, those big
No,
book thumpers and that sort of thing, and trying to
absolutely
shove
not.
this thing in anyone's face. So
Nope.
I think that makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. Well, attraction rather than promotion.
right, right.
This is it. I'm doing this thing. This works for me, and yeah, so clearly something works because we're still fucking sober.
Right. Yeah. And hey, if nothing else, it has worked for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
To this
Yeah.
to this point. And it is, what time is it? What time is it? What day is it?
It's,
But
yeah, right.
yeah. The amazing thing though, and that was like, well, yesterday for me, but in it, once again, with looking at my sobriety counter every day. And the only
Hmm.
time I really notice it is just, what day of the month it is that, the months round off, so it's an even number of months.
Right.
And I'm like, because I mean, we're already 30 days into this new, this new year of ours. And I was like,
Yeah.
fuck, man, where did I mean, I was just there.
Right.
where where did this go? Which again, it's not bad stuff, but I'm like, God, time. They say time flies when you're having fun. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't have a bad life, but
Right.
it hasn't been. Again, back to a work thing with an as stress, whatever the case is. I'm like, I haven't been, whistling fucking Dixie for the last, X
Right.
number of
Well,
days or months, but
to
still,
quote Heidi, it hasn't been all orgasms and strawberries.
right? Is it strawberries or unicorns? Whatever, orgasms are
Uh,
in there. It doesn't matter. Whatever it
right.
is.
It was strawberries and orgasms. Yeah. Yeah.
Was it really?
Which, yeah, was her lead at The Rock on the Thursday night open meeting. Yeah,
Okay.
she's up there. We were shit, man. We had to have been maybe 90 days, maybe a little past that, because we were out. I know we were out in the dining room. We weren't back in the classroom, so we had to be past halfway. But yeah, they're all us hardcore guys, all us scruffy motherfuckers, and she's up there. It's not all strawberries and orgasms, and I just started laughing my ass off.
Well,
Yeah.
and you know what's funny is I've heard about that lead. For whatever reason I wasn't there. I did not.
Really?
Nope, I did not. I've never seen her lead. I heard about it afterwards. That's why I've used that saying. But I've either used rainbows or unicorns and orgasms.
Mm.
Same
Ah,
deal, But
right.
I kind of like strawberries and orgasms better. I think
Hmm.
I'll use that.
Yeah,
I'll
well,
use the true words from now on.
that was the quote.
and, and again, it means it's the same thing. But I do. I like strawberries and orgasms better.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
But
and it was one of those moments where I went, "Oh shit, man, this thing might work."
right. Yeah, and for the life of me, I mean, that would have been. I have no idea why I wouldn't have been there unless it was a. Um, God, could I have been working? Because I work
Yeah,
nights.
yeah,
I
yeah.
work
I
a
think
couple
you
of.
may have started. Yeah, you may have started working at that point, and
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. It's a long goddamn time ago.
Right. Or you know what it was? I was working at that. I was working at the factory at that time.
Right.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I
you
didn't.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was working that stupid fucking 3 to 11 and it was only 3 weeks. So within that 3 week period, I missed one of the best leads ever.
Yep.
Or the best sayings ever, whichever way you want to put it. So
Right.
no, I like that reading. I do. And same thing. There
Yeah.
was like one of the actions that kind of popped into my kind of popped up a little bit at me. I don't know, yesterday or today or whatever it was. But yeah, I mean the
Hmm.
readings were what they were, but there were nothing that, like you said, nothing really jumped out at me either. So,
Right.
but no, that's a good one. So, do you have the step in front of you? Do you want to read off what we might as well?
I
I mean,
mean,
again, fifth month, it's middle of the month, and we
hang
usually
on.
talk about it at the beginning. But
Right. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, I mean,
can you can you read it like in your
clearly,
darkness?
well, yeah, that I can do. I just need to find it. That would be June. This would be May. This would be me being really goddamn tired today. Here we go. All right. Hi there. Step 5 of Alcoholics Anonymous: admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs.
Do you want to read any of the other paragraph, or that's not like the step 4? I know you wanted to read part of. But,
Oh, yeah. No, I don't have any of that in front of me.
Okay.
I just, yeah, at the beginning of every month, and God grant me, they list the steps. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and we had talked about the whole lead into, and for anyone who doesn't or hasn't worked, the steps or isn't at that point
Hmm.
yet, uh,
Right.
based on the way that the big book reads and the way that we were taught and stuff like that, basically, steps 4, 5, 6, and 7 are or should be done in the same run, right? In the same. Well, I did all 4, right, for the first time. I
Well,
did.
5, 6, and 7. Right.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. So, but yeah. I finished my 4th in the morning.
Right. Hmm.
so,
Yeah.
so technically I did, but yeah, you're right. No,
Right.
5. Yeah, 5, 6, and 7. So,
Right. You do 5, and then you go out and you sit by yourself for an hour or so and think about 6 and 7.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
But you continue to work it for the rest of your fucking life, one day at a time.
which which again, well, maybe at the end of us talking about step 5, I'll explain what I thought.
Uh-huh.
But so you and I both we ended up going to a priest, and it
We
was a
did.
Irish, surprisingly an Irish Catholic dude.
From the west side
um,
of Cleveland.
West side of Cleveland, which it just blows my mind. I couldn't believe we could find one of them, and
Mm,
little dude too. And
yeah.
so the funny part is that, and we talked about it before, that we were our sponsors told us that we had to get our
Hmm.
our fifth step done before we could lead, and right,
Right.
we thought we had all these important things to say, so
Hmm.
so we had to get our fifth step done.
So we
So
started a podcast. No, I'm
right.
sorry. Go ahead.
So did you get yours done like right after your year, right before? Or I don't remember when you got yours done.
I was yeah, it was I think 11 months sticks in my head, but yeah, I mean it was, I had a lead set up pretty much right after, I think the week after I got my year, so, and I did my fifth step, I don't know, a couple weeks before that. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I had mine because I well, both of our anniversaries are in April, but I
Right.
had literally scheduled mine for I think the whatever it was, the 15th or 16th, and my anniversary is on the 18th, and that
There you
happened to
go.
be the week of Easter, and
Hmm.
I had it scheduled, and I get a call from the lady from the office, and telling
Hmm.
me of all things that the priest happens to be busy because it's the Easter season,
Mm.
and I'm like, son of a bitch. Because once again, that's it really at that time, and I don't know if you were any different with that, but I mean, I did. That was the thing where, like, you can't do this, which is
Hmm.
stand up and talk to people,
Right.
until you do this. So
Right.
I was more focused on that than I was the actual process of the fifth step. Which is I,
Right.
I don't. I don't know, but I mean, let me put it this way. I'm hoping I'm not the only one. I'm not saying you, but not the only one of
Eh,
millions of people that ever just thought about that. But um, so
I
yeah,
mean,
I don't.
it was certainly a part of it. Yeah, it was.
Right.
Honestly, yeah, it was a part of it. I got to get this thing done so I can get up there and run my mouth.
And I think it was the week after.
Hmm.
Whatever day my anniversary was, it ended up getting kicked off for a week. So
Right.
and I did. I took off of work in that morning, and once again, going back to what we've talked about a couple of times, both Mike and I sat down with our sponsors individually because we had separate
Hmm.
sponsors at that time
Right.
frame, and talked about doing our fourth step
Hmm.
at the 7 month mark. So basically it was another almost 5 months that we until we actually did them. But to your
Hmm.
point from probably a month ago, you were saying what Phyllis was saying, which I didn't think about it, but basically that she felt that people weren't really ready, right, until their year
Hmm.
anyhow.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, it was her thought, and I agree with it.
Right.
I mean, I know. Yeah. There's the school of thought that blow through them, get your steps done. Dr. Bob did. He did them all in a couple of days. Okay. He also continued to work them, and shut the fuck up. Things were different. I mean, my head. Working on my four step. Um, shit. Working on my four step at 2 months sober would have been pointless.
Right.
I really needed, the way we were taught, I needed to focus on working those first three steps pretty hard, getting that to be a part of my life, which it still is. Um, I, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I work the first three steps before I get out of bed in the morning. I have to.
Right.
Um, yeah, so I had to get good at those because those steps are in order. If I don't have that first one down, there's no point in doing anything else. And then working the two and three, and again incorporating them into my life and making it a part of my lifestyle. Making that decision to turn my will over, and I'm not running shit, and all that good stuff. Then I can, and plus letting the chemicals leave my brain. And,
Right.
and like the reading said, this gift of my mind, whether I choose to use it or not. Um, yeah, I needed to get my mind clear before I could truly look at my past and the kind of person I am and was, and take that inventory, find the good and the bad things in my life. My head needed to clear out a bit before I could do that. So yeah, I I needed that time, and I think it's important. I don't think I don't know who the fuck's ready at 2 months to do their fourth step, or 3 months or 4 months, or 6 months. Yeah, start working on it. Get those first three steps down, get them a part of your life, and then start taking that inventory, and you can actually make that fearless and thorough inventory that we have to do.
Right. And it's funny when you talk about the mind clearing. So I started that my second job at the basically at the collection agency. So
Hmm.
kind of got back. I call that my first real job out of
Right.
out of sobriety. But I think I started that in beginning or middle of September, something like that. It was roughly in that range, beginning of September
Hmm.
ish, I think.
Yeah.
So you figure at that point I would have been, let's even say coming up on or 5 months sober, whatever the deal was.
Hmm.
Um, and there was we well, first of all, the system that we were using was the same system that I worked at the last company that I worked at when I was drinking every day on the job.
Hmm.
And the last company I worked for before I got sober, where I was again drinking every day on the job, and this is going to surprise you,
Mm.
I couldn't seem to understand the system. And it's the same system that we're on now with the current company I'm with. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And don't get me wrong, it's hard to explain, but it's not your typical Windows based system. It's keystrokes and it's different codes. It is a little bit weird. But
Hmm.
it's not difficult once you get to know it. You get the basics down just like anything else. You get that
Right.
that foundation of knowledge down and everything builds off
Mm.
of it.
Right.
So that was the first thing. So I go through training at this new company, and I'm kind of worried because I'm like, this I had trouble with this system the last time. And I'm like,
Right.
this is a fucking breeze, man. I'm like, it kind of helps not being drunk every day. Imagine
Mm.
that. That was my first note to self. I can think better. But there was one time when, and again, everything was the reason I mentioned the keystrokes is there was certain things while we're on a dialer system, and if you're leaving a message, you're hitting a certain thing to leave an automated message. If it's something else,
Right.
you're hitting this other, and it's like two, three keys and then an enter, whatever it was.
Mhm.
And um, doing it day in and day out, hundreds of times in a day, and I've been working there for however long, just call it 30 days, and I'm
Right.
about to do it, and I forgot what to do.
Uh-huh.
Just in the middle of working, I couldn't remember what the series of these keystrokes I
Mhm.
had to do, and it freaked me the fuck out because I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck?
Mhm.
And I'm not loaded. Maybe I was a little tired, but probably not. But it just blanked, and had to sit back for a minute. I don't remember if I got up. I probably just sat back for a minute, then it came back to me. But
Mhm.
that scared me.
Right.
In again 5 months sober and just fucking blanked.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Brain wasn't working optimally yet.
All of a sudden, it's just like, bzzzt.
Right.
You're like, whoa, what just happened?
Uh-huh.
It was really fucking weird. But so the other thing that, as you were just talking about that with getting the steps down and this and that, one of the biggest things that confused me to begin with is the term work. Working the steps, and because I
Mhm.
didn't understand what that meant. I'm like, what do you mean working something? How do you work something that's
Right.
just words?
Yeah, this
So
little phrase.
yeah. So if you had to explain that to somebody, and I mean, I've got an idea in my head, obviously today, but how would you explain that because that was something that confused me. Maybe there's somebody listening to us that doesn't understand what that means to work a step.
To work a step, well, to take the concept of that step, because they all have concepts to them, and incorporate them into your life, into your thinking. And it's fucking hard, man. It's it is. It's changing the way we think, which is a difficult thing to do. But again, with anything, repetition and working those mental muscles, for lack of a better term, you start to think differently because you're forcing yourself to do something different. That change thing, ugh.
Well,
But
and
that's working the steps. It does. It makes you think differently. It makes you look at things differently. It changes your outlook, your perspective.
well, and maybe this is just the easiest way to for me to think of it is putting words into actions is
Yeah,
working the step, you know.
yeah.
And
That's better.
well, and I wasn't it just so you know, I wasn't trying to one up you. I was just trying to that
Oh,
was always my simplistic thing. I'm like, okay,
right.
I gotta take these words and I have to
Hmm.
put them into, something in action, an
Right.
actionable item, because
Right.
that's really what the steps are, right? I mean, they're
Hmm.
action items.
Simple program of action. Yep.
Excuse me. And out of all the things I complicate, I got that part simple,
Yeah.
which is kind of important. So I mean that's a good
It
thing, I guess.
is. Yeah. Yeah.
So so when you went in for your fifth, and again, this
Hmm.
priest, he was cool. He was really fucking
Yeah.
cool, and
He
a
was.
lot a lot of people do their fifth step with their sponsor. Both of our
Hmm.
sponsors told us to go to a priest, so we did,
Yep.
and I have
Yep.
opinions. I have opinions about that too. But so
Mm.
when you did your fifth step, I don't know, just and I think we've talked about this before, but just how did that process go? How did it feel? I mean, how did going through it? I mean, what was your fifth
Well,
step
once the
process like?
burning sensation stopped,
From you walking into a church.
exactly.
It was just a church office, though. You weren't actually,
Right.
he didn't hang you on the cross while you did it. Well, maybe he did after he looked at you, right?
Yeah. It was inverted. But anyway, um no, yeah, it was just this older dude, and I knew that he had done it with, we certainly weren't his first drunks and we weren't his last. Um, it was something that he did. He was kind of known through, our circles. This is a guy that does this for us. And yeah, we sat down and he said, "All right, go ahead," and I did. I did. And this I didn't my fifth step wasn't a lot of gory details. It really wasn't. I didn't feel the need to do that. I laid out the basics. I told him the kind of selfish, self-centered piece of shit that I was in a general way, and it was enough. And I remember, I wasn't in there that long. It was probably, I don't know, half hour, 40 minutes or something. I mean, I know people, they hours, they get all nitty gritty and all that good stuff, and that's fine if that's what you need to do. I didn't. I needed to look another man in the eye and tell him that I was a selfish piece of shit. And I did. And when we finished up, he looked at me and he went, "You know what? That was good." He looked at me and he said, "That was." He said that was actually one of the better ones, because I was just honest,
Right.
and I didn't go into a bunch of crap. I just, I told him the kind of person that I was, and sincerely didn't want to be that person anymore. And he went, "Yeah, yeah, well, all right. So keep doing what you need to do, and you won't be that person anymore." And he didn't lie to me, the son of a bitch.
Well, and it's funny that after I got done with my fifth step,
Hmm.
and I think you said before you felt better walking out of there, and I mean so did
Oh
I.
yeah.
But I heard all these different people that they had pages and pages and they had hours,
Hmm.
and to begin with, I was like, fuck, man, because it started to become important to me, a
Right.
few months earlier. And, I was kind of like, okay, I want to do this thing. And then I'm, kind of like, did I do everything properly? But I'm like, fuck,
Hmm.
to the best of my ability is what I kept
Right.
hearing. So I'm like, okay, I did that.
Yep.
And same thing, but I had the columns and I had the this and it was my ex-wives and it
Hmm.
was my actions and all those different things and same deal. And I don't think I was in there more than 45 minutes. And,
Right.
I mean, literally though, as he was sitting there and now looking back on it, he was probably just, kind of looking down and just listening,
Hmm.
and like,
Hmm.
like I try to do if I'm listening to somebody. It's harder when you're looking at them. Sometimes you just got to
Right.
focus,
Yeah.
And I mean, I thought he was kind of falling asleep, but same deal. And I don't remember what he said because as I'm reading these words off of these sheets,
hmm
I kept feeling worse and worse with every word because
hmm
I wrote it. But when you're reading this shit, it's just like that's what is so helpful about what you and I are doing with this, the and I joke about it, but literally the revelations, the getting these same old stories that you and I have told each other for years, maybe
hmm
stories that we were involved in, but actually voicing them, it
Right.
puts a new spin, a new light, and literally a new tone, to whatever it is.
hmm
So I'm feeling like shit through all the stuff, and when I got done, whatever it was, and it just popped into my head, what he did was, um, I don't remember what he said but he gave me
hmm
items and probably the only way I could put this now since we were just talking about action stuff is he gave me action items like you
hmm
said continue to do this or he said this it was like 3 4 things that he said that two
Hmm.
things I didn't write it down and
Right.
I don't remember what he said but
Right.
apparently either I've done it or I haven't done the complete opposite because again we
hmm
decided we're still sober so
Yep.
but yeah literally I walked out of there and I'm like fuck man I'm like whew
Yeah.
you know
Right.
it's just
Which
like
is the general consensus. There's a weight lifted because
oh
you get honest and you tell people exactly what the fuck you are,
right
and and you walk out the other side and you're not dead, you're not in massive pain. Quite the opposite. You feel better, and and the first or the first step, the fifth step is the first step that you do with another person. The first four steps are basically, yeah, you kind of work with the sponsor to get an idea and stuff, but it's all internal stuff. The first four steps, there's some things that you do by yourself when you're working them, and that fifth step is the one where you're with another person, they're involved. The fifth step is when you become a part of this thing.
right
For me and for a lot of people, it's when you actually become, as far as I'm concerned, a true member of AA. Yes, the only requirement is a desire to stop drinking, blah, 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 blah. But that's when you're actually working with someone else, and then you get to where you're helping other people. But that's the first one where you're involved with another human, and it's pretty cool.
right yeah and you're the one that and that's there's an example the whole thing about becoming a part of I'm sure I heard
hmm
that before but
Right.
you've talked about that during the time we've been doing this and that was
hmm
one of those things that popped into my head I'm like yeah either again I forgot it or nobody said it or I didn't pay attention to it or I again forgot it
Right.
whatever the deal is but yeah so you know what actually
Well, I mean, it's a huge part of this thing is because realizing that you're not the center of the universe, realizing there's things bigger than you, and then becoming a part of that thing that is bigger than you,
right
whether it's your religion or AA as a group or whatever, man, working at a soup kitchen, doing something, being a part of something bigger than yourself.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, it was cool, and like I said, it was a huge relief, walking out of
mm,
there, and I
hmm
felt fucking wonderful.
yeah, yeah,
So on that note, fucking wonderful. Why don't we take a fucking
ah,
wonderful
yeah,
break?
yeah, yeah. Look at that.
No, this
Why
was
don't
a
we
it
do
was a
that?
great conversation. I mean, I just eyeballed the time like 3 minutes ago. I'm like, is that 38 already? Wow. Okay.
All right. Well, we're going to be back with more of this stuff after this brief word from our sponsor.
Hey everyone, it's your friends at Sober Not Mature.
Hi
And
there.
yes, it's both of your friends this time. Hi Mike, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, Bill?
I am doing well, but we do have a purpose. We actually usually talk about our one website, but we actually have two websites now. So we
Two.
wanted two websites in one. All right, so everyone knows we still have the podcast website that is www.SoberNotMature.com. And we just launched the store website, so we also have that. Do you know what the website address is on that one, Mike?
Of course I don't.
It's pretty easy, Mike. It's
Yes.
www.SoberNotMatureShop.com.
Ah.
But from the podcast website, you can still hit the store link and get into the web store, or you can access it from our Instagram page through the highlights. We've been posting quite a bit about it, and we'll continue to do that. But do you know what's on the second website, Mike?
Well, there's a store. There are products that you can purchase for you and your loved ones.
Well, Mike, do we still have merchandise?
We have merchandise. Well, we got T-shirts and coffee mugs and all kinds of crap.
And one of the coolest parts, we also do have all the recovery books from Hazelden, which is kind of a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Yeah, at least for us. So all the books that we read, God Grant Me, 24 Hours, the Big Book, the 12 and 12, all of those books are available for sale on our website. And once again, that store website is www.sober.
Trying to help, man.
I know you are. You're not helping, though. Okay, now I got to say www.SoberNotMatureShop.com. .com. Visit that today, or visit the podcast website, which is, again, the podcast website. So
www.SoberNotMature.com.
Did you just say sober but not mature?
Yeah, sure. Write that down.
Yeah, like fucking mush mouth or something. All right, everyone. You've suffered enough with this, and we'll get back to what we were talking about previously. So visit the websites, though. All right. Welcome back, and I think we're going to continue a little bit with the fifth step, but with you were cutting out just a little bit here and there, even going into your intro. You pop back in, like right at the end of your intro, but I was just gonna, like, a little note to self, maybe take a peek at your internet just to make sure, because you cut out a little bit.
No,
so.
That's good. And actually, you cut out about 3 minutes ago
for
about 30 seconds. So
yeah, and that's what it. Yeah, you cut out. I mean, I if I cut out too, I wonder if maybe it is on. Who knows? It's on one of our ends, but yeah. Whatever. But so the other thing though is that I guess just to continue that part of it. So we walked out, we felt great, and then we were supposed to go. What did you? And I don't remember what did you do afterwards? Because again, we're supposed to sit and think. That's the sixth step. Basically thinking up to everything we've done at that point, and then 7 is do the 7th step at that point. But we don't need to get into the details. But just what did you do after that? Where did you go?
I went. I had my 12 and 12 with me. And I drove down to the lake and sat there and looked at the lake and read the 6th step and the 7th step and went, shit, I got to get busy. And and then went and got busy.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. I went. I did the same thing. I went down to the lake, but it was so fucking windy. I was gonna go sit. I went down to, is that Edgewater Park?
I stayed in my car, but yeah.
Yeah, I did too. But I wanted to go. I had this whole thing. I was gonna go. Sit.
You had a plan?
Imagine that. Right?
Out?
No. Windy is fucking. The problem is, I don't care about the wind, but I wear contacts, and shit, dust and stuff was kicking all up. I just walked outside. And I'm like, would have got an eye full of that, but it was. You sit there and you read that. And we'll talk about obviously 6th and 7th step, but that was the process. And then, my sponsor said to call him. After I was done with that, and I did. I don't remember, no idea what he said, but
no.
But yeah, then we got busy, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Then went back to the Keating Center and ate some chicken.
Right. So your first lead was within a couple of weeks of your anniversary. Your year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know when mine was. Mine was 1 month and 1 day. So, wait, what day is it today? Oh shit!
Today is the 19th.
Exactly.
1 month and 1 day.
Exactly 13 years ago today, I did my first lead. No shit. Literally, I would have been
12 years.
Or 12 years. Yeah, I'm sorry, 12. Yeah, not 13. Sorry about that. Yeah. So, but I haven't thought about that in a long time, but it was May 19th of, so that would have been what, 2011. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did my lead at the Thursday night Keating Center, and Mom was there. You were there too, but Mom was there.
Yeah.
Because she asked if she could come. And then I remember telling other people that, And like, you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have your mom come. I'm like, fuck, she knows everything. If she doesn't know
Right.
anything, I'm like, I know what to say and what not to say. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember anything I said. I remember, fuck,
Nah.
it was my that's what I refer to as my blackout lead, because I seriously,
Yep.
I don't remember anything. You're the one that stood up and you commented, and you said
Mm.
something that you commented on something that I said that I didn't remember, and
Uh-huh.
apparently I had said that I'm not afraid of lose or I something about not being afraid of drinking. I was afraid of losing what's up in here, saying what's in my head. I was afraid. I
Mm-hmm.
said I was afraid of forgetting, because I knew if I forgot,
Right.
then and I remember. Well, I don't remember saying it. You apparently I did, because you told me I said it. but I mean, I say that to this day, because that's still the only thing I'm afraid of. I'm not afraid of drinking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid of,
Right.
forgetting what I need to do. And if the way I forget
Mm-hmm.
is to not do all these things that we're told to do, right?
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah, yeah, I'm not afraid of getting loaded again. That's, shit. That's fine. I know how to do that.
right,
Yeah, I'm afraid of losing, and not material things, but the trust and the friendships, relationships that I have today, the love in my life, the peace and the serenity that I have today. I don't want to lose any of that shit
right.
to feel to feel good for 20 minutes.
Well, and it's like last weekend, and Katie had thanked me. Well, Kylie had thanked me for. She's like, "Thank you so
Hmm.
much for coming." I'm like, "Well, shit, thank you for having me."
Right.
I told her, I was like, she knew what my plan was, and I said, because they went and had lunch and stuff like that, but not until
Hmm.
4. So I mean, part of me was like, I'm gonna leave this early, but it's, I'm like, that's okay. I got to do this, and I get to
Hmm.
do that too, and
Right.
literally it was, because I looked at Google Maps afterwards, and I know I posted about it, but whatever it was, I
Hmm.
spent 9 hours and 5 minutes in the car
Hmm.
on Saturday, and 470 some miles, whatever it was. Which, I get it. It was a day of you went out, you used to
Right.
drive,
Yeah. Right.
but so for, literally, like, combined between the two places, I mean, 4 hours of time, I drove twice as long as the time I spent there, but man, it was nice,
Hmm.
all of it
Hmm.
was, and wouldn't have
Right.
changed it. But
Well.
when I was, in, as you were just saying that, the love and the trust and all those sort of things, I thought about that, and I'm
Hmm.
like, so Derek coming up, and obviously now, having listened to all these stories and all this stuff, now we can laugh about these, whereas, I mean,
Hmm.
think about it now. If you listen to all of them, I start drinking again, then I'm, think
Well.
about that part. Or,
Uh-huh.
like Dawn now. Dawn gives me a hug now when, after
Hmm.
when we're at any place we're at now, which is cool. I
Hmm.
haven't said anything to her, because part of me, the asshole in me, just wants to go, ooh, hey,
You're right.
give
Of
me
course you
some,
do.
but I haven't said that, because it's, what, it's nice. And,
Uh-huh.
I
It's
started.
not that. Right.
Right, and it started after mom died, you know,
Hmm.
which again, some of these things like that bring everyone close together, or closer together,
Right.
and it's cool. But so she had hugged me after I saw her the first time after that, which I didn't think much of. But yeah, when I was leaving this time, she actually got up from her chair, came over, and gave
Mm.
me a hug. I'm like, oh, see you later. But once again, I wouldn't say anything to her. But now she'd probably fucking listen to this at some point.
Right.
So
Well, yeah. Whatever.
yeah, but anyhow,
Again, like, well, in the reading, our instincts, our reptilian brain, we don't let that run our lives today. It's still there.
right. Well, and Dawn, if you are listening to this, I appreciate you, and that means a lot to me. Let's leave it at
Mhm.
that. And yeah, my
Right.
my smart assery comes up once in a while, anyhow. But no, I do, and I appreciate that, because again, all these different things, and over all these years, and oh, Derek too. When I got there. I got there, and Kimmy and I met at Starbucks. I went in, grabbed her a cup of coffee, and then we drove over there so we
Hmm.
had walked in together. And I got Ollie out of the car and kind of walked up with him, and whatever. We're kicking around, saying hi to everyone, and
Hmm.
I don't know if I was going to go grab some food, whatever it is. Derek's like, do you want me to go grab you a Diet Coke? And I'm like, sure. So we grabbed that, and then a little bit later, when he knew I think I had thrown out the can or whatever, and he's like, "Do you want me to grab you another Diet Coke?" So he's grabbing me sodas and stuff. I'm like, he's like, "Well, if you need another one," he goes, "it's in that cooler," and he said it's clearly either one was labeled beer and the other one wasn't, or vice versa. I don't remember
Uh-huh.
what he said,
Uh-huh.
but I'm like, you know what? They're in cans. I'll figure it out. And he's like, yeah, that's a good point. I said, I don't think I'll accidentally open one of your Coors Lights or anything like that. He just started
Right.
laughing. So. but it's nice, he's just making sure that he's like, I'll grab you soda. Here you go. Here.
Yep. Take care of the old man.
Yeah, it was cool, but all of it was really just really really
Mm-hmm.
nice. So, but yeah. So anything else with the fifth step? I mean, I think we both realize how not only it's critical, I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
critical.
Yeah.
That's number one, but yeah, I mean, it was good. It just was really fucking good,
Yeah. Unload that shit, realize it's not all that important, and and realize that you can't be that way anymore.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Not as bad anyway.
Right. Well, did you see the post on Instagram today when it said, "I may be an asshole, but I'll still make you smile"? And it's
Yeah, actually, I had seen it from someone else earlier.
oh, did you?
Yep.
Yeah,
Apparently
I
that
don't.
one's going around a little bit.
Well, and it's funny because I don't know where I get half of these things either. Some I get from, and I'm again rarely on Twitter, but if I get some notification, I'll pop on and just do a half scroll here and there to see if anyone's got any good memes. But same thing on
Uh,
Instagram. I'll scroll past, when I'm basically caught up, as they say, and Facebook too. So I don't know. I could have easily grabbed it from somebody on Facebook for all I know. So, but yeah. So you still there? I don't know if I lost you or not. I'm gonna hang out here for a minute just to see if you come back. All right, take two.
Ooh, we're
So,
editing.
well, you know what? This is, and we don't. Everyone knows we don't edit, and
Nope.
I'm going to see how. Well, the funny part is, and it's already going to be done by the time everyone's going to be listening to this. But
Uh-huh.
if it sounds really fucking hilarious, I'm not going to cut off anything
Right.
because the funniest part is that, just so you know, as soon as I'm like, "Are you there?" or whatever it was, and
Uh-huh.
then at one point I'm like, "Turn on your camera if you can hear me." And I'm like, "I'm texting you," blah blah blah. Like, "Ooh." So I
Right.
pretty much realized I was probably talking to myself, but
Hmm.
yeah, whichever one. So
Then I knew I was talking to myself, and then I read your text. So yeah, I was like, "Ooh, I got a text." Blah blah blah. So yeah, it'll all be there.
right,
Yeah,
yeah,
we don't need to go over it because they'll hear it.
I
Because
know.
yeah, we don't edit anyway. So we had some technical difficulties, and now we're back.
Yeah, it is what it is. So,
Right.
but yeah, so the fifth step, I think we've got and I think that's the last thing we were talking about. Just was the wrap up. I think we're all
Yeah.
good to go as far as the fifth step, and
Right.
so yeah, I think so, right?
Sure. Yeah. Work it.
And we already talked about what working it means. So there,
Right. Yeah. And the fifth step is one of those three that we only have to do once.
right? Yeah,
The rest of
and
them we've got to do every day, one day at a time for the rest of our lives.
well, and that's a good point too, because you've said that a number of times, and we were told
Uh
that
huh.
there's. So which ones are we only supposed to work once, and why? Just for anyone who might
Four,
not have heard
five, and
that
eight.
before.
4, 5, and 8, because that's what the 10th step is for, which we'll get to in October. But yeah, doing the daily one so we don't build all that shit up. And the 8th step, if you don't know, is making the list of persons we have harmed. And hopefully we're not hurting people the way we used to. And, somewhere in there, what is it, 11, 12? I don't know. When we're wrong, promptly admit it. So we fix it right away. We don't need to make a list anymore. So,
Right,
yes, 4, 5, and 8. And hopefully when we're sharing with people, so we don't need to do that fifth thing again, because we're being open and honest and living our lives in a way where we don't build all that crap up anymore that we have to
right.
unload. Yep.
Yeah, in the 10 step we've talked about plenty, but yeah, we'll get into more detail. But we talk about that a lot. It
Hmm.
saved both of our asses a number of times,
Oh
either
yeah.
stopping us from saying some shit or being able to go back
Hmm.
and fix the little
And
shit that we threw out there.
right, promptly.
Exactly,
Again, don't
exactly.
let that shit build up anymore, so we don't have to do another fourth and fifth, and another first step, because we built all that shit up and we can't handle it anymore. And we go and we do what we know will fix it, which is get loaded.
Right. Yeah, and
Yep.
that's what we were talking about. It's just that knowing that if we forget to do this shit or
Hmm.
stop doing this shit, like you said last episode and plenty of other episodes, we don't want
Hmm.
to stop.
Nope. I do not want to stop.
So the other thing that popped into my head, and it was partially just because it's the season, obviously the spring, well, the summer season coming up, but
Mm-hmm.
heard people talking about it on a couple of different podcasts. So this is another one that, and we've already gotten through the holidays, and we usually kind of do a little talk about that, coming into it.
Mm-hmm.
But and I know we did last summer too, but the the summer season I know is it's most places, and it doesn't even matter if it's nice all year round. The summer seems to be
Mm-hmm.
more parties, more events, more things, more
Right,
festivals,
right,
more
right.
opportunities. So I don't
More
know. I just
excuses.
right, and it's one of
Right.
the things. It's one of the things I had written down here about. And I'm not talking about, because you and I are not talking about the trigger type of thing, but
Uh-huh.
maybe I don't know what people can do, like we talked about for the holidays, go into summer events, who to be with, where to go, what to do, and how to plan for it. Maybe even in a
Yeah.
general sense. So, and I know you've got ideas on that. We could even do this briefly, but I just thought it might be a good thing to kind of focus on a little bit.
Well, it's the same thing, we always do. Don't put yourself in situations where you're, completely uncomfortable and yeah, have an escape plan. It's the daily shit. It doesn't matter if it's Christmas or it's the 4th of July or it's Halloween or or it's Tuesday and it was raining and it doesn't matter. We will find an excuse, like I said, an excuse to get loaded if we're looking for it. We will put ourselves in situations where, well, I didn't have a choice. Yeah, well, guess what? You didn't have a fucking choice anyway. The choice is don't put yourself in the situation. The choice is do the things that we have to do to stay away from the first one. Otherwise, we don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice not to drink today. I choose to do things that make it possible for me to get through the day without having to drink. That's it.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Every day is the same. Doesn't matter what the calendar says. Doesn't matter what the weather is. Doesn't matter. I will find a reason to drink if I'm looking for it. I will find a reason to use if I'm looking for it. If I'm doing these things that these people figured out a long time ago, that I don't have to pick up that drink or drug. If I'm doing those things, that I don't have to pick up a drink or a drug. Doesn't matter what day it is.
Well, and that's the reason that I wanted you to start off with that, because I knew that's what you were going to say. I remember you saying that for Thanksgiving. I remember you saying that for
Uh-huh.
Christmas. It's just another day.
Yep.
It's just another day on the calendar,
It is.
and I
Yep.
think that's once again I teed that up because I knew that's what you're going to say, and I think that's hugely important. Is that
Hmm.
first of all, you said the same thing. I probably for what we talked about. You probably said it last summer, and you said it for
Right.
Thanksgiving and Christmas and whatever it
Yeah.
is. It's the same thing comes out of your mouth, but I think that's important,
Yeah.
because we keep doing the
Yeah.
right things and saying the same things.
Right. Imagine that.
I know, and I only laugh.
Consistency. Hmm.
I only laugh because it seems so fucking simple. Could it be
I
that
know.
simple? Could it be?
Yes, it can.
Yeah, but the whole point is, I mean, and I'm not laughing at anyone out there that's new or struggling or anything like that,
Hmm.
because I've openly said I was 9 fucking months sober, and I didn't get
Right.
it. I
Yep.
didn't. I hadn't drank up to that point, but I would have.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
thoroughly convinced that I would have relapsed. Had I not had just that little simple thing that went, oh yes, it is that simple.
Right.
you know.
Yeah. And it's, and I've been open about it too. It's not the first time I tried to get sober. It wasn't the first time I went to AA. It wasn't the first time and I could never get past 90 days ever. Couldn't. And then I gave up. I stopped trying altogether because I went, well, fuck, this thing doesn't work. Yeah. I'm
Right.
doomed.
Right.
I'm an alcoholic. I have to drink. I'm a drug addict. I have to do drugs. No, I'm an alcoholic. I don't have to drink. I'm a drug addict and I don't have to do drugs. I do have to do other shit, but I don't have to do them.
Right. And as you always say, these good people have showed us ways where we don't need to do that. They
Hmm.
showed us why we're not going to need to drink, not why we can't, why we're not going
Right.
to need to. Which I
Right.
I still think is a huge. It's words, but words matter,
Hmm.
and it
Yeah.
was so critical
Again,
when
changing your perspective,
right.
changing the way we look at things. Yep.
Well, and the thing of it is, and like an example, the the Katie's graduation party. There was
Uh-huh.
every other person there. And
Hmm.
I don't even know. Well, Kimmy probably wasn't. I wasn't paying attention. I don't think Kimmy drank anything because
Yeah.
she had to drive back
Yeah.
home. But I wasn't paying
Right.
attention to it. But
Right.
everyone else was, and I was there until I think we left at, I don't know, like 7:30, and I
Hmm.
ended up stopping at the gas station to grab some coffee or whatever. I don't think I actually left the area until closer to 8, so I'm pretty sure it was
Hmm.
like 7:30. So I was there like 2.5 hours.
Right.
Ate the food that they had was from this bar that they all go to all the time, and it
Hmm.
was really fucking good.
Right.
I'm like,
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
bars got great fucking food.
I know. Well, that's why I told Derek. I said, shit, man. I said, no wonder. I said, if their catering is this good, I said their regular food's
Uh-huh.
got to be amazing. And he said
Right.
him and Katie's mom said that they said no, they said that this is the same quality as their food.
Mm.
Is no different. And I'm like, really? Because usually catering is a little bit more of a, on some
Yeah.
volume and this and that's whatever. But
Sure.
man, it was good, super fucking good. So I think
Yeah.
I had two big plates of food and was there two and a
Uh-huh.
half hours. I If I still lived in Germantown, that
Hmm.
was one of those things where nobody was getting stupid, nobody was doing anything. People were hanging out and
Right.
talking. I would have stayed longer, and
Sure.
there was nothing. The only thing that was stopping me was a 3-hour drive.
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and if I would have stayed, even if I would have stayed for another, till 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or whatever it
Hmm.
was, and but I wouldn't have felt like I wouldn't have been uncomfortable because I was with people who,
Hmm.
even though the entire group of people didn't know me, um,
Right.
I don't know. It's just, but like you said, not putting yourself in an uncomfortable circumstance. If people start,
Right.
I told Dawn that when I saw her a couple weeks ago when I went up to have lunch with Derek. I said I'll probably hang out for a couple hours. I'm like, yeah, when the kids start to, play whatever drinking games there are. I said usually that's the time I head out. She's like, yeah, I know. She's like, that's cool. Yeah, everyone
Right.
knows.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
the party starts and I head out and it's just nobody says anything. It's not a big fucking
Right.
deal. Nobody gives a fuck. You know?
Exactly.
I mean, really, nobody's like, "Oh, can you stay?"
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah, or you got to leave now.
right,
That either. Right.
right,
Nobody
yeah,
fucking cares. We're
right,
not that fucking important.
yeah. So the other thing too, and I specifically again with both of these questions I put in here, and I'm not talking about triggers, with this
Uh-huh.
second question. So
Yeah.
the second one kind of I got the idea from the again a podcast. A craving, do you ever get
Uh-huh.
it again, not a trigger thing, but do you ever get a time when even it's a
Mhm.
flash? I know you don't hang on to it, but
Yeah.
with
Right.
a craving for you're like, damn, I could go for a drink, and then second part, what do you do? What do you do when or if that happens?
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course I do. Yeah. Drink, drugs. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't dwell on it. That's the first thing. I don't sit there and yeah, marinate in the wonderfulness that was that high. Of course not. No, I go, oh yeah, there's that, and then move on. Yeah, at this point, early in sobriety, yeah, shit, not even early in sobriety. I knew it was stupid to dwell on it and to think about it. Um, yeah, it's gonna happen. It's always gonna happen. It's just a part of life.
Right,
I again don't let that shit control me anymore. I don't have to let that shit control me anymore. Yeah, it pops up. There it is. Okay, all right, moving on. It's not gonna happen because I got all this other shit that means more to me that I've worked really fucking hard for.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think well, not even think. I know we've touched on it before. It's just probably been a while since we have
Yeah.
talked about it. But and
Right.
I thought about it from because usually if that happens or when it happens to me is just it's a spell, it's a feeling, it's a place I went by,
Sure.
whatever it is, and
Yep.
usually, and I've said it a couple of times, like holiday weekends were the big thing. It's like you got to work early, and then this flashback of what I used to do years ago. Get out of work
Mm-hmm.
early, got more time to drink, and all these different things.
Yep.
But that's just a matter of that's that pattern in your head. But it is weird every once in a while. It could be a grocery store, it could be anything like that. Then all of a sudden you get
Mm-hmm.
this wave of you're like you can either taste alcohol or you're like, damn, a beer
Mm-hmm.
sounds good or it would be or this is what I used to do. But that's the main thing, is not dwelling on it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah, man. Play it through, playing that tape through. Okay, fine, asshole. Then what?
right,
Yeah, I'm gonna lose fucking everything. No thanks.
right. You know what's funny though is that, and I thought about it when I just wrote that question down earlier today.
Hmm.
Um, I get more because it's been, and I still vape. I still use the vape, but it's
Right.
been 2 months now since I've had a real cigarette.
Hmm.
And I get more cravings with that than I
Hmm.
remember cravings with booze. In the, let's
Right.
say, the first 2 months. And th- there's nothing stopping me. I mean, I can go grab a pack of
Hmm.
cigarettes.
Right.
I could
Yeah.
probably I could probably go look on probably under my and the seat of my car, the seat of my car. I'm sure I dropped one at some
Hmm.
point. There's probably
Sure.
a cigarette sitting underneath there.
Mm,
But
nice and stale.
I know those are the best fucking ones
Those
too. I
are the
mean,
good ones.
oh, they're really good. But those are the ones where, I'm like, "Fuck, where did that come
Hmm.
from?" But then,
Hmm.
I I vape for a couple of seconds and it goes away,
Yeah.
because it's that,
Right.
it's there, and I'm convinced there's clearly there's nicotine, so that's that part. But
Hmm.
I still think there's that habit, and I think using the
Hmm.
vape or committing, I guess, quote unquote, to using that vape
Sure.
versus the lozenges or the patch or whatever,
Hmm.
it's that habit. I can exercise that habit, which,
Hmm.
maybe that tricks my brain for a minute, but it does what it
Right.
does. So I don't know.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I talked about when I after I stopped using heroin on a regular basis.
I used to
No,
then I
but
usually used it in special occasions.
sure, every once in a while I'll do some opiates, but no, no, but when I was actually I was in a rehab, and but I was in a rehab and I was drinking, but I still had the compulsion to play with the needles.
Oh
There was
yeah,
that
yeah.
whole the ritual thing. I went and broke into my old apartment because I knew there was some needles in there, and I got them and I got some vodka and I went down to the river and I sat there and shot up vodka. Just played with the needles, man, sticking them in my arm. Yeah, it's the same fucking thing, man.
Right.
Yeah, it's the habit, the ritual, all that shit. We have to get new habits and new rituals, and thankfully we have them now.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just and again, it was from a podcast. But when I wrote that down, I did. I thought about it the other day, which, and I didn't make a note of it then, but about the cigarette cravings. It's weird.
Hmm.
I mean, and I'll say this again for everyone. And I know I had talked about it, whatever it was, a month or so ago when we were talking about it.
Right.
Um, and I'll say it because this, that the first few weeks I think is the hardest part, or supposed to be, with quitting
Right.
smoking. And once again, don't get me wrong, I'm still taking in nicotine, and that's part of it. I
Hmm.
get it, but it it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be, which is weird. It was pleasantly surprising, to
Right.
me. And quite honestly, I think that because there was a difference between, like, I would use my vape during the day when I was just
Hmm.
cutting down on smoking, and then I'd only smoke certain times of the day, actual cigarettes. And
Hmm.
I can still you can still get a little bit of a feeling, not like that full cigarette buzz from a vape,
Hmm.
but you still get the feeling. It takes the edge off if nothing else. Um,
Right.
but it's one of those things in my head. I'm kind of like, I wonder if, and because I'm kind of at that point now, like, I wonder if I could just, start cutting down on this and just get rid of it completely, and I think that it might be, again, a good tapering thing. I don't know. It's just,
Hmm.
shockingly to me, it wasn't as hard. I didn't get crabby. It's none of that shit happened, so
Right.
all the things that I know a lot of people worried about. And again, weight gain. I mean, I've got a gut, but that's because I don't fucking do anything, and I eat, meat and fucking potatoes every goddamn day, and then
Right.
eat a drumstick. But
Hmm.
um but yeah, like I said, surprisingly, that's been harder, that from what I can remember.
Hmm.
I don't know, from what I can remember. So
Yeah. Right. Well, it's it's all of it, man. It's all the
right.
substances. We have it in our heads that we can't live without it, and guess what? We fucking can.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
You know, there's no way I can go without a drink. There's no way I can go without the drug. Yeah, apparently there is a way.
Yes, apparently there is. There is definitely a way. There's definitely a way. So, did we talk about, and I know we've talked about pride in general. Did I ever talk about and I think it was from Keep It Simple, from one of the readings, and it was
Hmm.
talking about good pride, and what should I watch out for? Did we talk about that at all? Talking about, good pride versus bad pride?
Yeah, I
I don't,
think we did.
I think we did too. I couldn't remember
Yeah.
because, I mean, we were talking about pride and ego and all that stuff, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, we
Okay.
did. We did. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should listen to this thing once in a while. I know you do.
Well, and that's well. Here's the problem: is when I go back on this stuff, and it's a list I have on my phone, and I just
Hmm.
go through, and I usually do it within a day of when we talked about it to make sure that I get everything off of there that we talked about. But I mean, I've had
Right.
it. There's been times when I've said we didn't talk, or we talked about this, right? And you're like, no, and I'm like, really? Okay, so I thought I left something on, or vice versa, but. Um,
Eh,
Okay, so this one was just kind of stupid, and I don't even remember where I heard this. Have you ever heard the
mm.
word Tommy Topper?
No.
Again, I don't know if this had to have been on a podcast or heard on the morning
As
show.
opposed to Billy Bottom.
Yeah, exactly. I guess no. So if you call somebody a Tommy Topper, it says a person that always has a story to top another
Mm.
person's story.
One upper.
Yeah, one upper. But I never heard the term Tommy Topper before. But
Nah, me
then
neither.
Well, then when they explained it, I'm like, and again, a podcast or wherever it was, but
Hmm.
first thing that popped into my head was, I'm like, well, that's kind of what we do,
Right.
but but
Mm.
in in kind of a good way, because when you
Right.
first think about it, and I know what they're talking about. I exactly when if you have a conversation with somebody, I don't know, there's a
Hmm.
different story when somebody can relate to you versus somebody that says,
Sure.
oh, but what happened to me was, and then they try to
Hmm.
again they one up you.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
But so two things, when every time that if you when we go through all these questions, I'll tell a story,
Hmm.
you tell a story type of thing, and I don't
Right.
think either one of us is really looking at which one's worse.
No.
but
Yeah.
we both have an experience, so we have to be able to
Yeah.
relate to the person,
Sure.
right? So I'm looking at that the
Yeah.
right way.
Absolutely. Yeah. 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 No. Yeah. We're definitely. It's not a competition.
Except that I am happy that I beat you by what you were point four and I was point, or no, you were point 4.2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
And you
point
were
four
point four
four.
three, right?
Four
Or four
four. Come
four.
on now.
Right. Yep.
Don't
All right.
don't
I got to give it to you. Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that one I'm strangely proud of for some reason. It's fun to be proud of
Mm,
the 4 day thing, but then I'm like, nope, got you,
right.
bitch.
Yeah, I know. You got me on that. Yep. 4 days more sober, and you were what? 2/200ths of a percentage more
Right,
than me. Yeah.
right.
Yep. We both should have been fucking dead, but
Yeah, yeah, you fucking lightweight pussy. You couldn't handle that more
yeah,
next.
exactly. 0.42.
If you're gonna go, fucking go all the way, man.
All right. Oh
Although,
shit. 0.6.
although had you pulled your pants up, you would have made it to the liquor store and you would have beat me. So,
That's right. Well, again, but I probably would have been dead. So,
right, right.
and God knows we both were above that many times.
Yeah, and honestly, when and I hope everyone understands, and I think people who have listened to us hopefully will understand. No, we don't really think it's
That
funny
we're sick
because
motherfuckers.
right. I mean, because seriously, and I know I looked it up at one point, or Kathy did, or somebody did, whatever it is.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
understand what those levels mean. I
Right.
mean, shit. When I got my DUI, and I
Hmm.
was fucking loaded then. That was I was point two.
Mm.
0.24 or 0.25, something like that. I was
Right.
somewhere in that range, and
Right.
to not double it, but fucking close to doubling what I was.
Hmm. Oh
And
yeah.
once again, like I said, when I got my DUI, I was trying to change my tire, and for whatever reason, I forgot how to change the tire. I couldn't for the life of me figure out how to even get the jack in place, let alone. But but yeah, so we're not we're laughing because it's just, well, why not? Why not fucking laugh
Because
at it?
it's
But
fucking right.
it's pathetic, but it's also hilarious. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, given that, and I mean, granted, from a medical standpoint, neither one of us should have been, awake or
No,
cognizant,
no,
walking around, any of that,
mm-mm. Nope.
So
And yet we were.
I know it's an unfortunate true testament to exactly where we were, at that
Hmm.
point. So, yeah, when people ask, so why did you quit drinking? I think we could probably just give them those numbers, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. Um, I got one more on here because I'm looking kind of adding up here. We're probably close to total almost an hour and a half, but I got one more.
Right. All right.
Um, so time doesn't heal wounds; it just teaches us how to manage them. So once again, I'm going to say time. You always hear people say time heals wounds. So
Uh-huh.
somebody had said again, someplace that I heard it, time doesn't heal wounds; it just teaches us how to manage them. Do you agree
Hmm.
with that? Or, oh, it's an Instagram post by one of our followers. I had
All right.
that parentheses. But do you agree with that, or have any opinions on that, or what?
Um, well, wounds, all wounds heal, or, yeah, all wounds heal. They just, they scar over, and that scar, protects you from that initial wound. Yeah, and time does do that. It gives you distance, it gives you perspective. That's all. Yeah, wounds, and you can sit and dwell on them, and you can sit there and keep picking at them, and they won't heal. Or or you can allow them to heal, and yeah, fuck, man, why do you want to dwell on your wounds?
Right.
We all have them. I again, changing your perspective, man, looking at things in a new way. Yes, we all have wounds. I don't want to look at my wounds anymore. I want to look at the healthy parts of me. I want to focus on them and build them up and make them better. I still got shit. I still got pain and blah, 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 whatever. So what? Everybody does. Doesn't make me special, doesn't make me unique. Just, again, what I choose to do with it. And I choose not to dwell on it.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I looked at it and I was just kind of like, I'm like, I can see the point of what that says, but I mean, I agree with you. I
Hmm.
think that, like you said, and I think probably one of the most important things you said there was the distance part of it. The
Well,
farther you get away from things, and I think part of, and that just as you were talking about that, I think part of what people, and I think of it from from a death, or let's say a major breakup or anything like that,
hmm,
that some people don't want to forget because I don't know, they're feeling they're not, especially someone who passed away, they don't want to lose the memory. You don't have to lose somebody's
sure.
memory, but
No.
yeah, it just doesn't have to hurt as much.
Again, and again, focus on the joy. Focus on the
Right.
fact that you got to have that person in your life.
Right.
You know, yeah, yeah, yeah. We all experience loss. We all lose things. We all will lose things. It's so what?
Right. Yeah.
just and you move on, and then you get new stuff, and then you're happy with that. Eh,
Yeah. I agree.
I don't
Well,
know. Yeah, again, dwelling on the negative, man. Did that for way too long. I don't want to do that anymore.
yeah, and I agree. It was just one of those things where, and once again, I have no idea. I always say this, how I know it's from
Hmm.
Instagram now that I had it actually in
Sure.
parentheses, but I don't know when I wrote that down, but just kind of going down the list
Yeah,
on there.
something that
So
caught your eye. And yeah,
yeah,
right.
and it made me, if nothing else, maybe go hmm
Hmm.
hmm,
Right.
kind of
So
like
you
Mister.
thought you'd share that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I was Mister Horsing for a minute. Hmm.
Hmm.
So just real quick before we wrap up, so we have an opportunity, and Mike and I shared this with Mike. We have an opportunity where we're going to be donating some of our
Hmm.
little plush animals that are on our website.
Hmm.
So we've got a plush bear and a plush dog, little stuffed animals with sober not mature T-shirts on them, which I don't know, they're kind of cool. Um,
Yeah.
Crazy Megan's kids each have one. My
Hmm.
grandson now has one, and
Right.
one of our followers approached us, and she thought that it would be, something that maybe people in sober living facilities, rehab facilities might want. It's just again, just a point of whatever it is. It's a stuffed animal. So
Right.
she's in Florida, and she had messaged me, so we went back and forth. So far, we already put it in place. We've donated two. They're kind of being processed and put together in production right now. They'll get to her
Mhm.
within a week. She's going to pick out which facility to go to. And then what we're thinking about doing, or what we're going to try to do, whether it's through the facility or a number of them, she's going to figure some stuff out, is maybe try to get donations to these facilities and then to buy the bears, so
Huh.
basically, donate some of these bears. And, she had brought it up, and I'm like, hey, Mike and I always talk about that, just figuring out little ways to give back, and
Mhm.
if if a little sober, not mature stuffed animal makes somebody smile, I mean, what the hell,
Right.
So
There's one more smile in the world.
I
Cool.
know, yeah. So and we're always looking for things. So we do things for the Keating Center, and given opportunities like this that I don't know, it'd
Mhm.
be cool. It's some random to us, places down in Florida, but
Right.
she's not in the recovery field, but she still does work with some of these facilities. So that's how it all came about. So yeah, if you guys are listening, just I guess I'll say stay tuned. We'll have something between, whether it's on our feed, her feed, or however we do it. We'll figure out a way to kind of organize this stuff, and see if we can donate some stuff and hand out some
Yeah.
smiles, like we say, right?
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, so there's just other than that, I think that was all. Yeah, for once we didn't really have anything on the business side of things. That was just, as we were
Yeah.
talking, I'm like, I want to mention that real quick. So
Well.
but yeah, I think that well, fuck it, one way or the other, we've got close to an hour and a half of time, I think, on here
Mhm.
total.
I think we've rambled on enough for this week.
I think we have two. So you know what? It's your turn, Mike. Run us out of here.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to another episode of Sober Not Mature. As always, be kind to each other, be good to each other, do something nice for somebody else this week. If you like what you heard or you didn't like what you hear, share it anyway. Give us 5 stars, give us a rating, move this little thing along just a little bit. We do appreciate it. And now, kids, it is time for you to fuck off. Then keep fucking off. Keep fucking off until you get to a gate with a sign on it saying, "You cannot fuck off past here." Climb over the gate, dream the impossible dream, and keep fucking off forever.
You know what? Yeah, I was actually sitting there waiting because you said you're in your living room and it was dark before. I'm like, in my head, I'm
Yeah.
like, is he going to be able to read this?
Well, it's on my phone. It lights up.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I was just
Are
saying.
you? What are you saying?
Yeah, you know what? And two things. I didn't realize it was on your phone. I didn't know if you had had printed it off or something like that. And honestly, when I was thinking about the readings you were doing, I keep forgetting you have the books because I have those on
I
my
have
phone. So
books.
yeah,
No, I have actual books. I am a Luddite.
right. No, I know. But it's, again, I didn't think about that. But all right, that's your book.
That's my book.
All right, so it'll be interesting. Be interesting to see how all this stuff pieces together, and one way or the other. Hopefully, everyone enjoys it. I just hope it sounds funny as fuck. That's all I really care. That's all I really
Exactly.
care. And yeah, I'm heading
All
up
right.
to Appleton in the morning, so I get to see the
Cool.
grandson, and yeah, it's kind of cool.
All right. Give him a little kiss on the head for me.
I will. And shit, next week I'm out in Cleveland.
Yeah.
I can't believe that already. Fuck. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. A little Memorial Day celebration, barbecue and poker, and what the hell will we do if we stop drinking?
Yes, exactly. All right, brother. I love you, and I will talk to you soon.
Love you too.
All right, bye.
Bye.
As always, thank you for listening to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. To access all of our content and interact with us, please visit our website, SoberNotMature.com. Thank you again for listening, and we will talk to you soon.